Okay, Jen. Okay, there are two different drinks, but actually there's more, but let's just talk about the two drinks. There is kombucha that the Chinese made, and then they brought the culture to here, and actually they showed us how to do it. And I don't know if you know that Asian people are healthier than we are, but it's true. It's a 30-year study. So making that symbiotic colony. Okay, you get 2 bottles of raw kombucha. You'll see it. It's a bottle like this. It'll say kombucha, and it can't have any flavoring because that was a second ferment. So, and I'll explain it. So it'll say original. That's all it says. And you're like, cool, those are raw. So you get 2 bottles. So we can make a SCOBY. The reason why I want you to make your own SCOBY is because then you'll know how to make the tea all the time. So then you'll feel more experienced. And no, I have like 20. Okay, so it makes this disc. Whatever you're brewing it in, it becomes that size. So if you put in a little tiny bottle, it'll be this big. If you put in a tinier bottle, it'll be this big. But it still has the power. You could put it in a bathtub, and it becomes that big. So you get 2 bottles of raw kombucha. Raw. Which means it's just the tea. It doesn't have pomegranate, doesn't have lemon, doesn't have daisy. They fucking mix it with everything. So you're going to get those to room temperature. You're not going to drink those. Don't drink them. Don't put your lips to it. Leave it there on the counter. Then you're going to boil some green tea. I'll tell you how many bags to use, how much sugar later, once you get the raw bottles. So today's the day you make kombucha. You put them on the thing, you put them in the fridge, they'll stay, and you take them out and you're going to have room temperature. You're going to get some water according to your container. So if it's 5 gallons, then we have to make that much green tea. And we have to make that much with the sugar because it eats sugar. So you don't get sugar. It's eating it and making this culture. So in that, size, I did it in a 5 gallon. I did it in a 5 gallon container because that was the only glass one I had. Now I have millions. So when the green tea is at room temperature and the kombucha in the bottles are they're in their room temperature, you're going to add sugar to the boiling water. You're going to put like 15 bags of green tea, depending on how much energy you want. I've put like 30 sometimes and amped out for days. And you put the bags in there separate from the little papers. So you put the bags in there. You're going to put some sugar in there. And you're going to put a plate on top. And you're going to leave it on the stove. You can only use like a pan that I just use my basic boiling pans. Like I don't think about it too much. I try not to use the thin pan. I try to use the good stainless steel boiling pan. And I boil the water in there. Make sure that pan's clean. Doesn't like dirt. Doesn't like anything. It just only likes the sugar and the green tea. Now, kombucha's different. Okay, so you're going to put the 2 raw bottles in a room temperature tea. You're going to touch both of them and go, this one's a little warm still. And so don't put it together. Kombucha does not like heat or too cold. It has to be room temperature. So you're going to put those, you're going to kind of shake those bottles a little bit, make sure because there's yeast at the bottom. That yeast is what makes the SCOBY. You're going to put those 2 bottles in a glass container, and then you're going to dump your green tea at room temperature with the sugar in it into that container. You're going to put cheesecloth over the top. I've used bandanas actually, as long as it's getting a little bit of air. You're going to put that bandana on the top with a big rubber band. Okay? No metal. Doesn't like metal. And it doesn't like light. It forms in darkness. And you're going to put that in a closet somewhere where it's kind of warmish, and you're going to leave it there for 4 weeks. You're going to peek. I know you are. And you're going to look in there and you're going to see cyclonic stuff. You're going to see, you're going to look and be like, Cindy, there's no SCOBY. I swear to God, there's no SCOBY. Like, you'll freak out because you can't see it because it's like you're looking and sneaking and peeking and you want to take it out of the dark and you're scared if you put it in the light, it's going to die and all this stuff. No. So 4 weeks later, we open it up and there's a SCOBY. And you're like, son of a bitch, I did it. And you're going to protect it. You have to protect it. If you see fruit flies, all that shit. The first one's crazy. And you're going to remove it with clean hands. You cannot use soap. Use hot water in your hands. Get all the bacteria off your body, even your arm. You have to, like, clean yourself. Okay? Now I just crank them out and I know what I'm supposed to do. Hot water, go like this, and get a paper towel and dry your hand really good. And you're going to get in there and grab that SCOBY. You're going to see what I'm saying. It's kind of like a glob. It's to the size of the whatever you put it in on the top. If you put it in this, a little SCOBY will form. You'll be like, oh. Now, once you separate the SCOBY from the tea, at the bottom you'll see this yeast at the bottom. You'll see, it'll freak you out. You'll just be like, it's not right, it's not right. So you're going to separate that, okay, with your hands. Okay, so I can't use gardening soil that day. I can't go doing that first. I got to do my kombucha first because the soil gets into your fingernails. Okay, you're going to grab it and you're going to put it in a plastic or glass bowl because it doesn't like metal, and you're going to use a wooden spoon, okay, or you can use one of those, we call them, not ladle, it's called, you know the thing you use, the rubber thing that you scrape the food out with? Yeah, that spatula or whatever. So you can use that when you're making the tea. So you're going to get the SCOBY out with some tea and you're going to put it in a bowl off to the side. Then you're going to get the tea that's in there, which is now high powered. So that tea that it made to make the SCOBY, that liquid is good. So if you stir it with a wooden spoon and you give a cup of it to somebody, they now can make a SCOBY or 2 bottles of it. Okay? So what that tea is what you're going to drink. So you can bottle it like I do, because I had a bunch of kombucha bottles, you know, like the store ones, and I poured it in there with a funnel, and then I got that, and I put a little fruit juice in it, and stick it on the counter. Now I can have light, because there's no SCOBY in it. Then you're going to make more green tea, you're going to plop your SCOBY in at room temperature, and now it only takes 7 days, because now you have the SCOBY. That SCOBY will then make a baby. When you take it out, you'll be like, what's that? It looks so much thicker. I mean, they can get that thick if you don't peel it off. So then you have a baby, and you'll take the baby off and give the babies to your friends. That baby becomes a mother, and the mother makes another baby, and it keeps on going. It's like passing it on. It's like a sourdough starter. It's the same thing, like back in the day, you know, when they made stuff. So that tea is what heals you. So I was 50 pounds overweight, okay? And I carry weight really well. So I lost 50 pounds in 9 months. I didn't go to the gym. I walked the dogs, I took a walk up the street, and I lost 50 pounds. When you have the tea and you set it on the counter and it doesn't have the SCOBY in it, it now goes through a second fermentation. And that's so you can add stuff to it. Like you can add cola to it. You can add all kinds of shit to it. And it gets fizzy when it sits and ferments again by itself in the bottles. And what I do is I'll put like that much kombucha, and then I'll put like that much unsweetened fruit juice. And then you have grape kombucha, name it. Name it, and I can tell you what makes it. Except for like 7-Up. You don't want to put fucking 7-Up in there because that defeats the purpose. You can put any flavor of fruit juice. You can put lemon, unsweetened lemon. You can put anything you want. This is how they make beer. So it's almost the same concept. And so that yeast is what makes all that. And those 2 raw bottles gave you the tea. Okay, that's done now. That's how you make a SCOBY. 4 weeks. Got to leave it in the closet. You can peek. And I put a towel around it when I made a SCOBY to keep it warm. It really likes like 70 to 80 degrees. My daughter-in-law has fucked this up so many fucking times it drives me crazy. She's from Pakistan, so it's hard for her to understand. She'll open it and there'll be mold. She'll open it and it's all fucking, there's no SCOBY. She's fucking stupid. Okay? So, because she didn't listen. Okay? So, she drives me crazy. I even gave her videos and she was like, couldn't do it. It was like, it's dead. No, there was a SCOBY in there. She fucking fucked it up. So that basic fucking starter is everything. Then you separate the tea from the SCOBY. Every time you want to drink that liquid and it's done, and it's now you have a SCOBY, and so in 7 days it's done. You have to mark down the time. So in 7 days, but you can leave it there longer. But I mean, you really want it to stay on a 7-day cycle. Then you're going to take the SCOBY out. You're going to drink that tea, and here we go again. Problem is, you'll be drinking it faster than you can make it. So your jars get bigger and bigger and bigger. And sometimes I'll get 2 SCOBYs and 2 quarts, 2 two quarts of, I'll plop 2 SCOBYs in there, but then I'll have all the babies, and I don't like throwing the babies away because the mother makes a baby, and it's a baby. It's like a person. So, or sometimes I tear them off and just throw them in the trash, and I feel sad. And then once it starts really like going, and it's like it's cranking it out. So every 7 days you're brewing, and then and then 3 more days, 7 more days, 4 more days, you put a second juice in there. Now you have flavor kombucha. Holy crap! But you can never put the juice in with the SCOBY, ever. It has to only have green. You can do black tea. It has to be pure though. It can't be like green tea with lemon. It can't be that. You will not make a SCOBY. It will die. It will not even promote because it doesn't want that at that point. So it's green tea, sugar, organic raw sugar. You cannot use turbinado. You can use fine white, but I wouldn't suggest it because of GMOs. So you've made a SCOBY. Okay. Now you're going to crank out tea. Now everybody in your house is drinking it and they're running around like crazy people because they're like, whoa, I feel great. But when you first start, you think more is better, so you'll down the whole bottle. Don't do that. You will frickin' be on the couch because you just hit your body with every probiotic in the world. Okay, that's how you make a SCOBY. So simple. You'll think you messed it up. You'll think this, you'll think that. You'll peek in on it. You'll do all kinds of stuff. Once you make a SCOBY, that begins to make babies. And sometimes I've taken the mother culture out and she has 2 babies. Like they freaking make babies like crazy. That baby becomes a mother. That mother begins to make a baby. So each time you brew, it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker. That's why I want to show you how to peel it. Literally, you can look at my SCOBYs and see layers because sometimes you thought you got the whole baby, but you didn't. It stayed on there. So whatever sized container you use is the bigness of the SCOBY. If it's this small, the SCOBY will be that big, but it still makes kombucha. 1 SCOBY can make as many gallons as you want. Make 20 gallons if you want to in a glass jar. So you put the bandana over it, put a rubber band, let it sit for 4 weeks. You open it up, there's a SCOBY. That SCOBY now makes tea, but the tea that I originally made in making the SCOBY, that tea is kombucha. You can put it into small bottles, set it on the counter, it gets that fizzy pop. Actually, the lid, when I opened it, hit the ceiling because you don't realize how high-powered it is. So you sip, sip, sip. I think I bought 6 bottles the first time just so I could have 4 to start drinking it and get used to it. That's kombucha. Kefir crystals are for leaky gut syndrome. A lot of people have leaky gut and they don't even know it. And it's like people that have gluten problems, people that have celiac disease, people that have like any disease you can think about. The group that I was in that got the awards every year they're geniuses because they're sick and they want to cure their bodies. So this is what they make. There's kefir crystal, okay, it's called organic kefir grains, water. Then there's organic kefir milk grains. You cannot get the milk crystals and make water. You cannot get the water crystals and make milk. What people do is they'll get like a really nice milk from like a local farm and they'll make kefir milk. I don't drink milk. But then I found out that you can make coconut kefir. Okay, I can't deal with that right now. It's just too much. They look like little crystals. They feel like cauliflower. They're actually very small and and you only need like 2 tablespoons or 1. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio on kefir. Kefir is done the same way kombucha is, but sometimes you can throw different sugars in there. Like you can put molasses. You can put, I always just use organic sugar. It likes different sugars. It feeds off of it. But kefir's made in 1 day. And you cannot make the crystals. You have to get them from somewhere. A German woman brought them, and it fights stomach diseases, but it also fights other diseases in your body. So when you're doing kefir all the time, it does it in 24 hours. Don't forget that. It's literally ready in 24 hours. You can leave it there for 2, maybe sometimes 3. When you separate the crystals or grains, they call them grains, but they're really crystals. I call them crystals. They look just like crystals. You separate it with a strainer. It's not like kombucha SCOBY. SCOBY you grab, crystals you don't. You separate it with a sieve, pour the water into something, leave it on the counter for another day, it becomes fizzy too. You can add fruit juices if you want to. You can throw figs while it's brewing. I don't like to do that. It's too confusing because if one of those dried fruits has sulfur, it kills the crystals. Okay. That one has a known property. There's 12 antibacterial, anti-fungus, anti-parasitic, anti-staph. It has anti-everything. And it neutralizes the acid and the alkaline in the body. Most people are too acidic or they're too alkaline. One of the two is happening in your body. That's what causes food problems. So kefir is made one way, basic principle of fermentation, and kombucha does another thing. So you can literally drink those every day. And you can also make a shake out of them. I wouldn't do kombucha, but with kefir water, it has that light sugar taste. So you can get that, throw that in a shake, and you will lose weight. Can you believe that? So with kombucha, you get energy and probiotic, and you're happy. And then you drink kefir on top of it, and you're super healthy. Drop 50 pounds in 9 months, just like that. So kefir grains are different from kombucha, but it's the same concept. They don't like the light. They hate metal. They don't like bacteria when they're first forming. And when you get the kefir crystals, they'll literally send you like 2 tablespoons in the mail. It's like $7 off Amazon. And they'll send it to you. They don't need the tea, not like kombucha. They need water with sugar. So you'll boil some water, put some sugar in it, get it to room temperature, pop the crystals in there. They've actually rinsed the crystals. They'll get water and just like rinse it. But if you have shitty water, you don't want to put that in with, with the kefir crystals. So you'll separate the kefir crystals. They can actually handle air too. With the SCOBY, you have to be a little careful. With kefir crystals, they can kind of sit there. They're just like, hey. And when you feed them different kinds of forms of sugar, like this Rapadura shit that I don't feel like dealing with, then, you can add that, and kefir goes, yum, something different to eat. Kefir also has an attitude. It'll go, I just don't feel like making any right now. How do you know that? It's in the bottle. You're like, fine. And you'll drink it, and it actually has less of a strength, but it just does that. It's temperamental in that sense. It has its own mind. A SCOBY will always make kombucha tea, and it'll always be strong, and it'll always touch the same, and it'll always do this thing. Kefir crystals catch attitude, and they're just like, they do it once in a while. They just like, And when you drink it, you'll be like, I don't know the difference. But that's just the way they are. They're temperamental. That's been studied. Kombucha hasn't. The Chinese made kombucha. The Germans made kefir crystals. One woman, she came into the United States and she brought crystals. And that's why we have kefir today. They're both fermentations. They're both excellent for children. People do not understand how great these are for children. Literally, children are getting GMOs like crazy. This detoxes them and it detoxes you. And your husband will come to like it. He won't even know he's drinking it. He won't even fucking know. And he'll go, yeah, I'm burping, like Tim does. Burp. And he's like, something's wrong with that stuff. Why? Because you're burping? That means the acids are neutralizing. So that's kefir, water grains. Water, not milk grains. 2 different separate things. And kombucha. That makes a SCOBY, that makes a baby, that makes another baby, and you give them away. When you start doing the second ferment, they taste really cool, kind of like a flavored beer in a way. I would say in a way. Literally, you'll amp out depending on how much you're drinking a day. I've literally drank 4 quarts a day, and I was so freaking amped. I was like, woo, running around the house, scrubbing walls. I was like, yahoo, And your body begins to adjust to it, and it begins to like it. You can actually get the kefir water, not with the crystals, separate again. When you get that water, you can actually put that in and make yogurt. I know, with the 12 properties. So then you'll make a fermented yogurt. Smooth and creamy too. It's really good. And then you can make coconut kefir. You can make all kinds of kefir stuff. And it really, they call it kefir. I just call it kefir. But it's called kefir. And it's spelled Kefir. Go look at the principles of that on Google, and you'll see what I'm saying. Everybody makes this stuff. Nobody ever wants to do it. They're all fucking freaked out. And what they don't understand is that is optimal health for your children and yourself and your husband. Getting them to drink it the first time is kind of weird. They don't want to drink it. They're afraid of it. They don't know what it is. You can actually put cola in the second ferment. You can put anything you want. If your kid's like a certain kind of juice, add it to it. I would never do orange juice because orange juice is just bad for you all the way around. So that's the principle of what it is, how to make that SCOBY, how easy it is, And once you make your first SCOBY, you'll just get all in the hang of it. And when your family comes over, you're like, here, try a sip. And they're like, what is that? And it's like, it's fucking beer, dude. Drink it. It just like tastes like a light beer. It's like, shut up, drink it. And all my friends are hooked on it. I always keep like 20 on me because I'll give 5 away. And then I just start tossing them, you know, because the babies, because I'm just like, can't keep up. One time I had a mother culture, used that in 1 5-gallon, and used a baby, and that baby produced the same strength. The baby is just as powerful as the mother. And then the baby turns into a mother, and she makes another baby. I know. It's like you cracking out a bunch of kids. That's what the SCOBY does. The kefir also multiplies. So when it starts multiplying, and you're brewing that every day. Yeah. And your stomach starts to feel better. It's not as bloated. It feels great. It helps you with your workouts, whatever you're doing. All I did was stretch and walk up the block, and I lost 50 pounds. That is the explanation of how to make a SCOBY. 2 raw bottles, which have the yeast in it, which is going to make a SCOBY, and your green tea and your sugar. Put it in the closet for 4 weeks, and there's a SCOBY. As long as you did it in a certain way. And if you do that and you follow the steps, you won't fuck it up. And then when it comes out, you'll be all freaked out. But once you do that, everybody thinks it's laborious. It's not. It literally takes minutes. It's not even that hard to do. But people just have, like, I don't know, fear. Fear of something good. I just don't get it. So this is the video of how to make a SCOBY without technically showing you. And a lot of people make the video. You can use a basic video from this guy called One Guy Online. He's really cool. He kind of like puts up these titles so you can do it real slow. And he explains what it does and what it is. And I still have yet to make a SCOBY for YouTube. So I love you. Do it. Don't waste time. Get it done. Make a SCOBY. And you can drink the tea. So I suggest you buy 6 bottles. They're $2 each. Because you're going to need those bottles. Mason jars.